Hey, hey! It looks like we're live, I believe. All right. Yes, we are. Cool. Well, good morning, afternoon, evening, everybody who's joined in to our Express to Success session, where I'm going to jump in and talk a little bit about increasing your turnover. I hope you've made yourself comfortable. Got my coffee because it's still morning here. And and wherever you are, just make yourself comfy and have a listen. Usually I would have some fancy templates and some visuals for everyone to look at, but it seems Facebook Live doesn't let me put that in just yet. So maybe next week or next time I do it through Zoom and stream it across. So there's a little bit for more reference for you to look at. But for now, just take some notes. If you've got any questions or comments, chuck them in the comments section. I'm watching that as we go along. If you've got any questions, I'll jump in and try and answer them as best I can. All right, so let's get started. Before I do jump into talking about increasing your turnover, this is only one small section of being a healthy business. Obviously, turnover is key. You know, cash in the register and cash flow is king for your business. So being able to increase your turnover obviously increases the rest of the availability within your business. However, making good profit and making good money out of your business is about increasing margins. So increasing your turnover, but also dropping your costs to trade and being efficient in what you do. So this is just one little portion, and obviously increasing turnover is the big part of a business, and being able to increase the top line enables you to go a lot further. But just remember that margin is what we're after. Margin is your profit and money that can go into your back pocket. All right. So first spot that I always start with increasing your turnover is looking at your target market. Now, everything I go through here is the 6 core components that we teach in every part of our business. I don't know whether you've seen the video that I did, well, it was actually months ago, about the 6 core components around building your business from the ground up. But everything we do comes from these components. And the number one spot is your target market. Knowing exactly who you want to sell to is so vital and so important to increasing your turnover. There is no point turning up to an event or a location that doesn't want your product. For example, there's no point selling meatballs in a vegan festival, or and even if you're street trading in a neighborhood that is known for being, I guess, vegan, let's just say, that is not attracted to what you're offering. So knowing who you want to sell to enables you to pick the rest of the line of what's happening after. So start with who you want to sell to. Really good example is a barbecue business. Quite often will want to trade to the boys, for lack of a better word. For the guys of the family that want a massive feast, you know, come in, have beer, barbecue, sit down. And then there's also that if they're the decision maker in the family that want to have that meal for dinner, that's who we're sort of targeting. And every little business is different and unique, and your locations is different. So it's all about picking exactly who you want and who's on offer for what you're offering. All right. So once you know your target market, from there, you can pick your location. Location is vital. And location, I'm talking about street trading, whether you pick events, festivals, or whether you're just looking to focus entirely on private catering. And if everything after this comes back to location as well, because going to your audience is a guaranteed way to sell out, to sell more of your product over and over again. It's knowing where your target market will be that enable you to just continue to sell. For us in our businesses, we always targeted food-focused events. So sure, we trialed, local festivals, we trialed music festivals, all of those sort of things, but we found our real niche was in food-focused events because it allowed us to charge the prices we wanted. It gave the people who were there to eat and wanted to try, and it gave large volumes of people. Everything we set up was all about turnover of people through. So we focused entirely on food events. Now, that might have only been 40, 50 trade days a year. And outside of that, we looked at private catering and secondary positions and locations that we wanted to trade in. For you, it might be completely different. If within your business, if you're looking to do street trading, make sure that you're looking to trade near or where your target market is. If you service, say, office workers, be in a really great office area within your CBD that people have access to and can get in and out, and you're available to service them really quickly. Another really good example actually is pizza. There was a pizza trader who I was talking to recently who was looking to do a bit more midweek trade, and I suggested that maybe go to a warehouse or a factory area, because they run in 2 shifts, daytime shift and nighttime shift, and then there's a gap where everyone has their tea time at roughly 7 p.m. And if you can target that little niche, and you might only have to trade for an hour or an hour and a half, and you can make really good margin because you're there in and out nice and quick, and if you've got good quality product, people will come and they'll buy that. If they've got a short period of time for a break, they'll come, they'll buy, they'll eat and go. So it's picking your location is really, really important in being able to increase your turnover. There's no point turning up to an event or a festival or a location that it just doesn't want what you've got, because that's not going to help you turn over more money. All right, so they're sort of, I guess, picking where you want to trade. Now, within your business itself, these few tricks here are ones that you can look at your business tonight and then tomorrow change, and you get an immediate change, an immediate increase in your turnover. And the number one is looking at your menu prices. Now, quite often I get a lot of pushback about menu prices, and people get really fixated on the costing of their menu. And yes, it is vital, because that's what I spoke about with increasing your margins, but being able to cost your menu to the high end, so you are at the top end of what your market is willing to pay, enables you to go a lot further and obviously increase your turnover with what you're doing. For example, we, in our barbecue business, we're selling 2 skewers for $12. Now, that seemed kind of pricey, but when we went into the food events that we were looking at, we realized the majority of food items within that event were $15 to $18. And so our $12 item was on the very lower end. Now, we didn't want to be, because it is obviously just 2 sticks of meat versus a plated food, but perspective of looking at that menu item price and that menu item price made us look cheap. And so we made a very subtle change and put our price up to $12.90. Now, it might seem like much, but that's an immediate 7.5% increase on turnover, just because of 90 cents. And we didn't change the actual look or the value of that meal, because it's still 12. People look at that 12. So these are little tricks that you can look at. Look at your market around. Look at your other traders that are directly competition, selling exactly the same products. Are their prices more than yours? Are you more than them? Then look at your indirect competition. So if you are a barbecue business, have a look at people serving burgers. Have a look at people who are doing fried chicken. Look at their plated meal. Look at their pricing, and make sure that you are not undercutting yourself. Don't sell your plated meal for $12 if everybody else is doing a plated meal for $15. Now, I'm not saying you need to jump to that extreme and chuck $3 straight onto your meal price, but looking at your menu prices with a few little tricks and tweaks, you can increase an easy 10% of your turnover without having to increase more, sell to more people, or do more trade days or anything like that. It's purely just looking at and reassessing what you're selling. few other things come from that as well, though. If you are on the premium price point with what you're selling, it gives people a value perception of your business. If you are on the top end, they expect good quality. And if you're doing good quality food and you know you're doing good quality food, charge the premium. Don't undersell yourself. Know that what you're delivering is worthy of the price you're charging. Don't go in and try and be the cheapest and expect people to want to buy, because people will go for value. Like, they will go for value if they're price strapped. But if they're in an event and in a setting where they know that they're going to pay food, they're going to go for the good quality meals or good quality products within that event. And price comes down to it. And it's a funny one, because it's not always about being cheap. It's really about value and about being looked at as the premium product. We've got friends here in Melbourne, where we are, and they do American style barbecue, and they do beef short ribs for a single point. So that's one single rib with nothing else, no side, no burger, no bun, no nothing. They sell it for $30 for that single point, and they sell literally tons per year. And that's because people look at them and go, these guys are obviously buying good product. They're doing an amazing thing that everyone has to try. And they're charging a price point because it's supply and demand. It's a scarcity thing. So they charge the high end. Make sure you are delivering an amazing product at a good price point. But always be charging at the top end that you can charge. So costings, yes, very important, but always make sure you have got your price points exactly where you can get them to. And that's pushing the boundary a little bit, where you feel a little bit uncomfortable about telling people, okay, this is $15, because most people expect to pay a premium. They're not looking for cheap. And if they're looking for cheap, ideally, they're probably not really your customer. One other side point with charging a little bit more, think about this, you actually have to sell less product, so less items to make the same amount of money. It's less prep, it's less stock holding, there's less risk involved in loss within your business. So being at that top end, and it is a fine line, and every location, when people come to me and say, how much should I charge for this? Well, I can't really tell you exactly without knowing your competition, without knowing your costings, and without knowing where you want to trade. So if you look at those things and then marry that price point, you'll find very quickly you can add that 10-15% onto your turnover very quickly without actually having to change anything you do. All right, so the next part is, I'm sticking with menu just for a little bit, and that's menu items on offer. Once again, it comes back to your target market, comes back to location. But if you're in an event and you're selling, and it's a high volume event, say, if you've got 10,000 people coming through, there's 10 traders, so there's 1,000 people on offer, roughly, let's say. You want to be able to turn over as much as you possibly can. And when I say turnover, I mean turnover people. Get through that line, serve as many people as possible. And the number one trick is to keep your menu short. Have 4 items, have 3 items, have 2, have one signature item that everybody in that event needs to have. So, like I was saying before, our barbecue business, skewers, that was the one thing that we made sure that everybody in that event had to try. Obviously, that ain't meat. And it was very simply, it was a high volume product. We could get that out as quick as we could. It was branded really well so people could walk around. It had our brand wrapped around the skewer on a greaseproof paper. There was no plate. They were handing it. People could see them walking around with it. And it became a product within each event that we did that people had to have. And we didn't undercharge for it. So we made sure that was the focus point of what we did. We had 2 other items off to the side that were almost upsells, but they were actually a more expensive product, became an upsell. So let's, for example, say we did chicken and pork skewers. A lot of people would come through and buy a set of each, and then we'd say, would you like some loaded fries? The skewers were $13. The loaded fries was $15, covered in pork, and it was a massive meal. But people would say, yeah, I'd grab that as well. So for us, it was the opposite. A lot of people have their upsell as a $2, $3 item. We went the opposite and went a $15 item as our upsell. And suddenly our average customer spend went from $15 to $21. And that little trick of just having a really short menu, having a focus point that we were looking to sell, and then an upsell item that was off to the side that was actually more expensive or a different price point than most people would do, increase our turnover, like, well, what's that, from 15 to 21. So it's gone up 25, nearly 30%. And we did some crazy big numbers with that very simple business that it just took us by surprise to start with, but then we were able to scale it very quickly and get to where we wanted to get to with that business. But look at your menu. Look at what people are buying. You don't need to keep adding things because people keep asking for it. Especially in events, people only buy what's in front of them. They don't go to a food truck, or they won't go to a stall and be standing in front of it and say, okay, so you're a sandwich shop, but can I have some fried chicken? They're not going to do that. They're going to look at your menu, what's on offer, and they'll buy something. If you've got people at your front door, at your window, it's very hard for them to walk away. So, side note as well, we don't actually show a menu in our barbecue business. People get in a line, they can see what's cooking. We don't show them a menu until they're already in the line at the order point. So it's all about perceived value. People know where they can get this product they really want to try. So they turn up, they purchase it, and then they go away. Another person sees it, and it's a flow-on effect. So keeping a menu short and having a real focal point is so, so important. And like, I know I see menus that are restaurant length, and we don't need that. People don't want that. People don't want choice. It seems stupid, and you might be thinking, yes, they do. They want to have, they want to be able to choose what they want. Well, if you take choice away from people, they will make a decision very quickly and very easily. The other thing as well, if they don't have a lot of choice or decisions to make, they'll order very quickly. You'll be able to service them faster, and then they'll get their food quicker. So keep your menu short, and you'll be amazed at how many more people you can actually sell to and turn over more money very quickly. The other things with menu as well is items on your menu, and as I say, have a focal point, but each menu item is what I like to call the 3-touch method. So each menu item, I don't like to have more than 3 parts go into that menu. Like, obviously burgers, they're a little bit different. You've got layers and everything else, but if it's one person that can go slap, slap, slap together, done, that's ideal. But don't have a menu that you have to cook the chicken, you have to cook the noodles, you have to toss them together, you have to sauce them separately, you have to serve to plate, each individual plate, because you just won't have time. If you can do batch cooking and serve quickly, it's a lot more important. But 3 touches to serve a plate will be able to increase your value very, very fast. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes off to the side, and so don't get distracted by me looking away. Now, just being able to turn over more people obviously increases your turnover. But if you are street trading, like I've seen food trucks especially, they love to have a menu that's 15 items long. Street trading, you're going to do a lot less turnover than if you are in events or festivals or high volume spaces. So having a longer menu actually increases your costs. It increases your wastage because you're holding a lot more product. There's a lot more chance of product going in the bin, which is your back pocket, which is your profit. Everything that goes in the bin, every part of wastage is your money that you're throwing in the bin. It's not just a lettuce head. It's not just a packet of burgers. It's actually your money that's going in the bin because you haven't been able to sell it. You've had to pay for it and it's gone nowhere. So having a shorter menu enables you to reduce those risks and reduce any chance of your money going in the bin. And that's the cost bottom line of your margin. So especially if you're starting out, if you're new to the business, don't go with a big menu. Go with 3 items. Go with 2 items. Just make sure you do it really well and just focus on one. Like, focus on, get everyone to know you for one thing, and they'll come, and then you can upsell them to the other things. But have one feature that people want to know about your business. All right. And okay, so the last thing that I want to touch on is the appearance of your setup. And this, it sort of goes without saying to me that you need to be clean, tidy, and approachable. Sometimes I find that if I'm in an event or at a festival, and I do a lot of this, I look at what other people are doing and pick great points from other businesses, and I look at how I could value add to my business. Now, if I'm in a marquee or a tent set up, I hate nothing worse, and please don't take this to heart if this is you. I don't like seeing tables at a low level, like in metric terms, in 700 mil high, which is a standard table height. I don't like just a tablecloth thrown over it. To me, that is hard to work with, and I can see it hard to work with for the business itself, but it's also hard to work with as a customer walking up to that stall because you're at a low level. You're not feeling very comfortable about things. If you're having a bench height that's 900 or even a meter tall, where it's at a service height, if you walk into a shop, generally that service height will be at that level. So make your stall a shop. Make it approachable. Make it realize, oh, these guys know what they're doing. Have half-height walls that cover it, really nice branding. Have it neat and tidy. And when I say neat and tidy, I mean within your store, where you don't think people can see, they can see. If they walk up to your store, they look over and there's rubbish on the ground. If you don't have a floor covering, if you have food that's spilling off tables onto ground, people see that and they will be turned off. Clean, neat appearance is the number one turn on and turn off for customers. So if you've got a food truck, it's actually a lot easier to be neat and clean and tidy and approachable. But approachable is a funny word as well, because a lot of people will see a food truck and they're walking up to a window and there's that height difference, whether you're trying to order to people that are high above, and it's one thing that's taught to a lot of wait staff early on in hospitality training is get to your customer's level, get to their eye level, and people feel comfortable and they feel wanted and they feel heard if you're at that level. So if you can get out of the truck, get down and take your orders at people's eye level, get down on their level, that's approachable. That's what people want to know. They want to know you. Are you the business owner? Then they want to know your story. They want to know what you're doing. They feel really, get them involved in what you're doing. Show them what you're doing. If you're in a marquee or a barbecue setup, that sort of thing, have theatre. Have something that people can see within your business. Have intrigue. Get them to your front door. And a big part of everything we ever do is a theatre component, so people can see what's happening. We had a ramen stall quite a few years ago, and we had a massive pot of ramen broth on the boil at the front, where you could see the steam pouring out in the middle of winter, and there's a beautiful big pot, and people would come and see, oh, what's going on there? We'd scoop the ramen out of the pot and serve it straight to them, and they loved that. Like, the ramen was great, don't get me wrong, but that little bit of theatre that they could see. We did a meatball business that we had massive paella pans on the front of the business, where the meatballs would stew in tomato base, and people would love that. They'd come up, they'd smell it, they'd see it, and while they were there, they'd buy it. So add a little bit of theatre, make it approachable, get people interested in what you're serving. You bring them in, because as I said before, once they're at your front window, at their front door, it's very hard for them to walk away. And especially if you're talking face-to-face, like one-on-one with a person, if they've got a question, you can answer it very quickly. Or if they've got a question you're not sure and you can get an answer quick, you say, hang on a minute, I'll get that answer for you. That makes them want to stay, makes them want to buy again. And more often than not, they'll come back. They'll tell someone, go, hey, these guys are really nice. The food's good, but the really good service, and they will come back. Now, everything I speak about is general. Like, it's very easy for me to say, do this, do that, do this. But every business is unique. As I said before, your location, where you are, who you're serving to, your menu, your availability of product, they are all unique to you and your location. So that's why we do run our personal, like our paid programs, because I work one-on-one with people and I can answer those questions about where you are. I know I can tell you who to talk to, who to speak to, the questions to ask to make sure that you're getting as much as possible out of your business. So take everything I say with a grain of salt and try and put it into your business. But if you have questions, do sing out. The number one thing out of all of that is look at your pricing, keep your menu short, and get a feature product, all right, out of your menu. Make sure your business is approachable. Make sure that people want to talk to you. Make sure that people want to see what you're offering. And be in the right location. Be where people want you to be. Don't be 15 miles out of town and expect people to travel to you. You know, the beauty of a mobile food business is we get to go to the crowd. We're not a restaurant that is waiting for people to come to us. We don't have to spend huge advertising budgets to get people to realize who we are. If there's an event, if there's people congregating in an area, we can go to them. And that's the beauty of this business. And I mean, we got out of restaurants a couple of years ago after 15 years of owning restaurants. And we started our mobile food business as a bit of fun on the side. And for us, it became 80%, 90% of our business. And we had to sell our restaurants to be able to keep up with what we were doing. And it's so much more fun. Guys, you got to remember this business should be fun. It should not be a drag. And I know that everyone goes through hard times, and we're going through a hard time now. The world's changing, but I know that things are about to change. And for us down here in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia and New Zealand, we've seen events that are looking to get people back in, which they didn't last year. There's a lot of new locations opening up. And in saying that, there is restaurants that aren't going to reopen. There's fixed bricks and mortar businesses that are not going to take the dive, the leap, put more money in, but people will still want to eat out. They will have money to spend. They'll want to be out of the house if they've been in a lockdown. They want to get out and explore. And if you're there where those crowds are, you can make a really, really good business. Now is a brilliant time to get into this business. So if you do need help, please sing out to us. We do have our programs. We actually have one launching on Monday, which is a brand new masterclass, which is fantastic. I'm really excited about that. We're working with some great people, and we're working one-on-one to start with. Decided it was just going to be a bit of a group thing to start off, but I'm going to do a bit of one-on-one work with everyone, making sure that we've got the right direction. And from there, we will all join together in a group where we'll be able to shoot ideas off each other. We'll be able to support each other, be able to give suggestion. And that's the idea of the masterclass going forward. And look, there's a foundation membership going there. If you are interested, let me know. I can shoot you the details. There is a couple of spots still open. Each month we'll be rolling through with some more people intake so I can work one-on-one. On a side note, I have been getting questions about the price point, and I'm pretty blunt with it. Apart from the fact I need to make a living, or we need to make a living within our business as well, I charge that so that I only have to take on 4 or 5 businesses a month, because at that price point, I can live comfortably. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not making a lot of money, but it means that I don't have to sell to 50 people each month. I don't have to get 50 people into the masterclass each month. And I can focus on the people that want the help. I'm not trying to sell you something that doesn't work, because it's worked and on and on again. But I want to help as many people as possible, but I've only got so many hours in the day that I can help you with. And so that's why I charge that price point. And let's be honest, the price point, you're going to get 10-20 fold on that investment. So just a thought for anybody that's asking and giving me an ear bashing about why I charge what I charge. But if you need the help, sing out. But increasing your turnover, vital to your business. Just remember there is margin after that. So don't spend a lot to make a lot. I prefer you to spend a little to make a good amount of money, because there's a lot more value in that. Going forward, each week we will be, hopefully week, if not fortnight, we're doing little express to success, it's hard to say after talking so much, sessions. Hopefully I'll sort myself out and be able to bring up some templates and some pictures and that sort of thing going forward, make them a little bit more fun and interactive for people. And I'd love to hear from you if there's something specific that you want to know, want to learn about. Shoot me a message, chuck it in the comments below, post it to the group, anything you want, because I'm here to help you guys. I want to put as much value into this group as I can for everybody in their business. As I said, it has been hard times. Things are looking up, and I'm really excited for those businesses. I mean, our businesses have been on the back burners really for 18 months, just trickling over. But now it looks like we'll be able to really step back in and get back to the really high volumes and those numbers that we were talking about previously. So thanks for tuning in. Love to hear from you, and we'll speak to you next week. See ya.